Charles Bronson fights in a charity bout at Bowes Theatre, East London. Charlie gets a little too enthusiastic. Keep an eye on the crowd to the right. What should have been a happy crowd, recording manager and film producer, served some time with Charlie. He's able to recount some of that time directly.
Now, I first met Charlie in Whitewall, I would say about 7 years ago. And quite a lovely guy. There was no problem with no one.
Dave Courtney, retired underworld figure, tells of his close encounter with Charlie when he met in the infamous Belmarsh prison.
Well, I'd never met Charlie. Of course, I'd heard about him, you know. And I was actually selling someone's Rolex when I got arrested. So I had a Rolex on and I had a Rolex in my pocket. And when I got nicked and they're putting all the stuff in the property, it's got broke down. I've got 2 Rolex watches. But anyway, one of the screws that was signed me in obviously worked with Charlie. He said, we've got this right flash little bastard upstairs, you know, this Dave Courtney. He said, he's only wearing 2 Rolexes with all that, you know. And,
Charlie made a recording from his prison cell for Lorraine the night before he was to appear in court. His appearance in court was in fact for the Andy Love prison siege and for the Governor Wallace prison siege.
Right. It's now the 23rd of October. I'm in the block in Wandsworth. They're taking fucking liberties with me. I'm up in court tomorrow at Luton for the trial. For the Wood Hill siege. And I should have left this prison a week ago.
Broadmoor in the 70s. I'd only just arrived. Ronnie Craig had arrived at Broadmoor about 6 months before me. Anyway, we're in the association room. I'll always remember this. We was watching Chocolate Pops. Boomtown Rats. Rat Trap #1. It was the big night of the week, Chocolate Pops. And I was sitting next to Ronnie Craig, and I had a lunatic sitting on the other side of me. And instead of looking at the telly, he was looking at me. He was staring at me.
Yeah, the
Paul Monty, mate.
Charlie was a young guy, a young boy. What are your recollections of the more interesting parts of Charlie's life as a child?
Well, he was a really good boy at home. We never had no trouble with him whatsoever. He was quite a shy boy. He was very good to myself and his dad. And he always worked very hard. And then apparently he got in with the wrong crowd, people that had been inside. And it just went from there, and then his father and himself had a barney one day, and then he went to live with my mother in Ellesmere Court, and he got in with the wrong crowd there, all people that had been inside, and then he just retaliated against the system, because he has had some terrible things done to him since he's been in prison. He's been beaten up, they've spat in his food, he's been in a straitjacket, and they've actually urinated over it. And I have been to various prisons when I've seen him beaten up, with black eyes and split lips. And I went to Broadmoor once to see him, and they wouldn't let me.
You and Charles Bronson, as he's now known, go back quite a long way, some 30 plus years. Would you perhaps like to recount some of your recollections of your friendship with Charlie?
First met Mickey 31 years ago. I was going out with my now wife, and Mickey was going out with her friend, Pyle in Ashton, which is Viv's wife's sister, and Viv was Mickey's uncle. And we had a foursome. And I can remember it as if it was yesterday. We'd been out, we'd had a couple of drinks. We're walking back home from the pub, and The next thing is Pauline's gone over the edge. Mickey's thrown her over the hedge. Just larking around, playing. That is how I first got to know him. A very, very quiet person. I know he might have thrown her over the edge, but he was a very quiet person. I mean, he was nice. Not the Charlie Bronson who you read about now. This fellow who you read about
Lambrianou spent 15 years in prison. Some of that time he spent in solitary confinement. He's able to recount in his own inimitable style some of the suffering that he too went through.
I'm in prison. I'm in one cell or another. If it's down the block or up on the location, you're still in the cell. You're not going nowhere. Right? So, and I weren't going to sit down and take it. So we've done it our way, but you've got to suffer for that. It's like a golden rule. Now and again, you've got to go down the block to show who's running the place. That's how the system works. So if you follow what I'm saying, right, they've got to have their authority and you got to have your bit away. So it's give and take. But if it goes wrong, then it starts to go wrong badly. You go down in places. I mean, if you're talking about solitary confinement, yes. And I spent in one hit 15 months solitary confinement after the Gartree riots in '72. Unbeknown to me, they'd opened these two control units, one in Wakefield and one at Wormwood Scrubs. And the whole idea was to control you with heavy punishment, because most of them were doing so long, it didn't matter. 20s and 30s and 25s. Well, what do you do with men like that? So what they did, they opened these two control units, so they put me and another man in there. And the whole idea was you don't see another inmate. You exercise in little cages on your own. There was two little cages in there, about 30 foot long, about 15 foot wide, and you walk around. Never to see another inmate, and the whole they stipulated no smoking for 9 months, no newspapers for 9 months, right, basic diet for the period of time you're in there. Anyway, in the end, I mean, I had no bed. The bed was taken out during the day. All I had was a plastic. On a Christmas morning, '72, and he said to me, "I don't agree with this." He didn't agree with what was going on in these units. He didn't agree with the regime they were going to put up. And I said, well, but I'll tell you something now. While I'm here, you're going to have to live with me. And I'm going to throw my pot out of there every day. You're going to have to clean the mess up. Because I ain't doing nothing to lose. If they think in some way that you'll buckle down and get on with it, then they'll withdraw. But when you're talking about someone like Charlie, they're always aware of him. So every time they open that door, he's up against it.
You hear these stories about what they say, well, put this fella in a cell and throw the key away. And I think myself personally, this is what they want to do with him. He's an embarrassment to the prison system.
There's men I've known who spent 10, 12 years off and on down punishment, but you can see it. You can see it. They've gone down that. You've gone down that road, and there's no turning back now, and you'll just lash out at any time. There comes a time, which I'm surprised hasn't happened in this case, where they've gone, look, we ain't going to win here, but we ain't going to let him win. So let's go down a middle road here somewhere. But it just seems to me like that he's up against it 24 hours a day, year in, year out. I'm surprised that he's handled it in the way that he has.
Well, Crime Through Time Museum at Newent is a fairly outspoken, sometimes controversial museum, and we deal with the good, the bad, the ugly. The people that come into the museum are very intrigued with these characters, and there's people in the museum like Charles Bronson, Bonnie Cray, Reggie Cray, Dave Courtney. They're all featured, and Crime Through Time just gives a very interesting insight into the criminal underworld. The tabloid sensationalism that surrounds a lot of these people, a lot of it, I believe, glamorise them and glorify a lot of what they've done.
I got a letter off him, and I got phone calls off him, and it's like as if he was hurting as much as I was. People say, something happens, an old lady gets mugged or a child gets assaulted. what do people say? Oh, put me in the cell with him for half an hour, or let the parents. And we would all wish to do these sorts of things. Let me have half an hour with that bloody scumbag. Let me have him. And half the problems with Mickey when he's been in prison is he does what we want to do. And you don't read about this in the papers, and they don't tell you about this on the television, and when he's in for all these things and what he's done. And this madman has just got 7 years for taking people hostage in prison. I mean, who did he take hostage in prison?
Charlie took prison librarian Andy Love hostage because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And at the end of that, Charlie shook Andy's hand and wished him all the best.
I want to see the best outcome possible, which is you two coming out safely.
That's what I want to see. That is what I want to see. And Andy.
Well, Andy wants to come out, yeah, I know.
I want Andy to walk out that door and have a nice cup of tea.
Just say the word and we'll open the door, we'll bring you both out, and that'll be the end of it. And
I won't be saying the words.
I'll come down and talk to you every day.
Oh, Charlie. What, mate?
How you doing? You alright?
Well, when they pull the fingers out, things will be better.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You know what the system's like, mate.
This man here ain't had a cup of tea for 5 hours.
I've only just got here, so...
Mama, I just can't see you from this hole, but I can feel you in my soul. Mama, what cripple wouldn't crow 1 mile uphill to only see you smile?
Lord Runford has been visiting prisoners for the last 50 years. Although people consider him to be a champion of lost causes, he seems to have struck a winner here with Charlie.
I think it must have been his cousin, a very charming lady, who asked me to go and see him, but I did admit I went to visit him. When I got there, the staff said to me, you know, this gentleman is rather violent. That's what they call him, a gentleman either. Anyway, this man is rather violent.
The Swellbellys, a hardcore punk rock band from Scotland. They've composed their own tribute to Charlie, and in the grounds of Crime Through Time Museum, they perform their song Caged. James DeMarco, a writer from the USA, compares his artistic feelings to what Charlie's going through.
Right now we're in the very early stages of the Charlie Bronson film, which as of this point I haven't quite decided the way to go. I think it's very important we decide which angle we're going to portray this from, since he's pretty much going to be spending the rest of his life in jail, as far as I know. Therefore, could
draw,
be very...
paint, write books. You know, he's a very talented man, and I'm sure that if exploited in the right way, he would excel in something with the media.
We have letters to the editor. 1 month, a cartoon came in from this Charles Bronson. Totally mad. At the time, I didn't know who it was. I printed it, and then people started coming up to me and said, "That's Charlie Bronson. Can I see the original?" Someone offered me 200 quid for it. I'm like, "Well, hold on, no. This is his page. He does what he wants. We're not, highlighting it. Well, obviously we are, but we're not saying, oh, this guy's great. You know, go and rob a bank. It's just letting him do what he wants. You know, he wants to tell people about what he's doing. The press aren't covering his stuff all the time. We will."
Basically, I fight all around the world in a no-rules barred style of fighting, which is anything goes. I'm British champion, intercontinental champion after just beating the world champ. I've been the first ever Briton in 15 years to fight in the Octagon, which is a cage in America. I've just come back from fighting there.